I'll never forget the night I wore red to my husband's promotion party. Everyone was clapping for him, his success, his brilliance. But when I walked into that back room looking for champagne, I found something else. A secret so ugly it burned our perfect life to ash in seconds. If you've ever trusted the wrong person, you'll feel every second of this. Hit that like button, because this story gets darker than you think. My name is Tasha Reynolds, and up until that night, I thought I had it all figured out. 34 years old, and pulling in 6 figures as a marketing executive, married to a man I genuinely believed was my soulmate. Brennan and I had been together for 7 years. 7 years of inside jokes and Sunday morning pancakes and finishing each other's sentences. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. Or at least, that's what I kept telling myself every time that little voice in my head whispered that something felt off. The night of Brennan's promotion party, I felt like a queen. I'd spent 2 hours getting ready and slipping into this gorgeous red dress that hugged every curve just right. My locks were freshly done, my makeup was flawless, and when I looked in the mirror, I saw a woman who had everything. Brennan was about to become vice president of operations at his tech firm, and I was so proud of him I could burst. This was our moment, our validation that all the late nights and the venue was stunning. One of those sleek downtown spaces with floor-to-ceiling windows and chandeliers that cost more than our car. Everyone who mattered was there. Brennan's colleagues, his boss Gerald, executives I had only heard about in passing. The champagne was flowing, the music was perfect, and every few minutes, someone would come up to congratulate us. Like we were a team, like his success was our success. I believed that with my whole heart. But then I started noticing the cracks. Small things at first. Brennan's assistant Fiona wouldn't look me in the eye when she said congratulations. Her smile didn't reach her face, and when I tried to hug her, she went stiff as a board. Then there was Gerald, Brennan's boss, this older white guy with too much cologne and a handshake that lingered too long. When he pulled me aside to toast Brennan's achievement, he looked at me with something I couldn't quite name. Pity, maybe, or guilt. He squeezed my hand and said, "You're a good woman, Tasha, a really good woman." It felt weird, wrong, like he was saying goodbye to someone at a funeral. I tried to shake it off, told myself I was being paranoid, that I'd had too much champagne on an empty stomach. But that feeling wouldn't leave. It sat in my chest like a stone, heavy and cold, even as I smiled and laughed and played the part of the proud wife. Something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong until I went looking for my husband and found the truth waiting for me behind a closed door. About an hour into the party, I realized I hadn't seen Brennan in almost 20 minutes. He'd been making the rounds and shaking hands, doing that charming laugh he saves for important people. But now he had disappeared. I grabbed a fresh glass of champagne and went looking for him, thinking maybe we could steal a private moment together. Toast to our future. Kiss like we used to before life got so busy and complicated. The main ballroom was packed, but Brennan wasn't there. I checked the bar, the bathroom hallway, even stepped outside to see if he'd gone for air. Nothing. Then I remembered there were private offices in the back of the venue. And places like this rent out for meetings or quiet phone calls. My heels clicked against the marble floor as I walked down a dimly lit corridor, away from the noise and the music. That's when I heard it. His laugh. Low and intimate. The kind of laugh that's meant for one person and one person only. The kind of laugh he used to save for me. My heart started pounding. I told myself it was nothing. He was probably on a work call, celebrating with a colleague, being his usual friendly self. But my hands were shaking as I reached for the door handle. I don't know why I didn't knock. Maybe some part of me already knew. Maybe I needed to see it with my own eyes so I couldn't lie to myself anymore.
I pushed the door open, and the world stopped. Brennan was there, pressed against the desk with his shirt half unbuttoned.
And wrapped around him, her lips on his neck, her hands in his hair, was Simone. Simone, who I'd known for almost as long as I'd known Brennan. Simone, who came to our house for game nights and book club and girls' brunches. Simone, who I trusted, who I called my friend.
For a second, nobody moved. We all just stood there frozen like some sick photograph. Then Simone pulled back, and I saw her lipstick smeared across Brennan's collar. I saw the way his hands were gripping her waist. I saw everything I needed to see, and something inside me shattered so loud I swear the whole building should have heard it. I screamed. Not words, just this raw, animal sound that came from somewhere deep in my soul. Brennan jumped back like he'd been electrocuted, his eyes going wide with panic. He started stammering, his mouth moving but nothing coherent coming out. Tasha, wait, it's not what it looks like, I can explain. Simone just smiled. Actually smiled, like this was all some amusing game. She straightened her dress, completely unbothered,
and said in this sweet, poisonous voice, "He was going to tell you eventually, Tasha. He just didn't want to ruin his night." That's when I lost it. That's when every ounce of control I had left just evaporated into pure rage. I didn't think. I just moved. My hand connected with Brennan's face so hard the sound echoed off the walls. The slap left a red mark across his cheek, and for a split second, I felt satisfied. Then the words came pouring out of me like venom. 7 years, Brennan. S-E-7 years, and you do this? With HRR? He tried to grab my arms, tried to hold me still, but I yanked away from him so violently I nearly fell. My chest was heaving, tears streaming down my face, ruining all that perfect makeup I'd spent hours on. Simone leaned against the desk, watching us like we were dinner theater, and that made everything so much worse. Brennan kept saying my name over and over, "Tasha, please, just listen, please." But I couldn't hear anything over the sound of my own heart breaking. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. It's not the first time. His voice was barely a whisper, but I heard every word. "It's been going on for 2 years. I'm so sorry. I never meant for you to find out like this." 2 years. TWU years. While I was planning our anniversary trips and defending him to my mother, who never trusted him, and bragging about our marriage to my friends, he was sleeping with someone else. My knees almost gave out. I had to grip the doorframe to stay standing. "Everyone knew?" My voice cracked. "At this party? All these people congratulating us, and they ALL knew you were cheating on me?" Brennan couldn't even look at me. That's how I knew it was true. Fiona's awkwardness, Gerald's pity, they all knew. I was the only fool in the room who didn't. Something snapped inside me then. The humiliation was worse than the betrayal. I turned and walked back toward the party. My vision blurred with tears, my whole body shaking. Brennan followed me, begging me to stop, to not make a scene, but I was done protecting his reputation. I was done being the good wife who kept quiet and made everything comfortable for everyone else. I walked straight to the DJ booth and grabbed the microphone right out of his hand. The music cut off. Everyone turned to look at me, all those faces I'd been smiling at all night. My voice was steady when I spoke, even though I was dying inside. "I want to thank you all for celebrating my husband tonight. His promotion, his success, and apparently his 2-year affair with Simone." The gasps were immediate. I saw jaws drop, saw people turn to each other in shock. Brennan came rushing through the crowd trying to reach me, his face pale, but I wasn't done. "But don't worry, he's all yours now, Simone. Hope the promotion was worth it." I dropped the microphone. It hit the floor with a loud feedback screech. And then I walked out of that venue with my head high, leaving my marriage and my dignity scattered behind me like broken glass. I didn't remember driving home. One minute I was in the parking lot, the next I was pulled over on the side of the highway, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. My hands were gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me from completely falling apart. I kept seeing their faces, Brennan's guilt, Simone's smirk, the pity in everyone's eyes. How did I miss it? Was I stupid? Was I not enough? The questions circled my brain like vultures until I thought I'd go insane. When I finally made it home, I went straight for his closet. I started throwing his clothes into garbage bags and ripping suits off hangers, hurling shoes across the room. I grabbed our wedding photo off the mantle and smashed it against the floor. Glass everywhere, his face staring up at me from the broken frame, smiling like he loved me, like he'd ever loved me. That's when Brennan came through the door. He looked wrecked, his tie loose, his eyes red. He started with the apologies, the excuses, the classic cheater's playbook. I made a mistake. I love you. It meant nothing. Please, Tasha, we can fix this. His voice was desperate, pleading, and it made me want to scream. You humiliated me, I shouted, throwing a bag of his clothes at him. In front of everyone. You made me look like a F-fool. He tried to step closer, tried to touch my face, but I shoved him back hard. You loved her for 2 years, Brennan. 2 years of lying to my face every single day. Get out. N-O-W. He refused. Had the audacity to say it was his house too, that we needed to talk like adults, that I was being irrational. I called a locksmith right there in front of him. Had the locks changed that night while he stood on the lawn arguing with me through the door. I threw his bags out one by one, watched them land in the driveway like the trash they were. For a week, I barely functioned. I called in sick to work, ignored my phone, lived on wine and rage. But then I had to start dealing with reality. I needed a divorce lawyer, and that meant gathering financial documents. That's when I found his laptop still logged in, email still open. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I just wanted bank statements. But what I found was so much bigger. Emails between Brennan and Gerald. Spreadsheets that didn't add up. Transferred funds to offshore accounts. Brennan had been embezzling company money for over a year, cooking the books with Gerald's help. And Simone wasn't just his mistress. She was Gerald's daughter, and the three of them had been running a scheme together. Brennan was the fall guy. They were setting him up to take the blame when everything collapsed. I sat there staring at the screen, my hands trembling. I had a choice. I could delete everything, warn him, let him escape. Or I could let karma do its job. It took me about 5 seconds to decide. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table with a bottle of wine and Brennan's laptop, copying every single file, every email, every incriminating document onto a flash drive. By sunrise, I had everything I needed. I created an anonymous email account and sent the entire package to the company's board of directors, the SEC, and for good measure, an investigative journalist I knew from college who specialized in corporate fraud. Then I sat back and watched the dominoes fall. It took less than 48 hours. Brennan was fired immediately, escorted out of the building by security. Gerald was arrested at his home, led out in handcuffs while the news cameras rolled. Simone tried to run, fled to another state, but the feds caught up with her within a week. The company launched a full investigation. Criminal charges were filed. It was everywhere. The news, social media, industry blogs. The Golden Boy VP brought down by his own greed. Brennan showed up at my door 3 days later, and he looked destroyed. Unshaven, hollow-eyed, wearing the same wrinkled clothes I'd seen him in on TV. He didn't knock. He pounded on the door, shouting my name until I finally opened it. "You destroyed my life," he screamed, his voice breaking. "I could go to P. Risen because of you. How could you do this?" I stood in the doorway, completely calm, and looked at the man I used to love. I felt nothing. No anger.
No satisfaction. Just emptiness. No, Brennan, I said, destroyed quietly. You destroyed your own life. I just made sure the truth came out. You used me as your cover while you played house with a criminal. You don't get to be the victim here.
He tried to argue, tried to blame me, tried to make me feel guilty. But I just stepped back and closed the door in his face, locked it, walked away while he kept yelling on the other side. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. 6 months later, my life looks completely different. I got promoted at work after leading a campaign that brought in our biggest client of the year. I moved into a smaller apartment with huge windows and plants everywhere, the kind of space that feels like mine and mine alone.
Brennan is still tangled up in legal proceedings, living with his mother, facing years in prison.
Gerald got 15 years for fraud and embezzlement. Simone took a plea deal, but her reputation is destroyed forever.
I ran into Fiona at a coffee shop last week. She apologized for not warning me sooner, admitted she tried once but got scared.
We talked for an hour about complicity and courage and what it means to really have someone's back. It felt good to let that anger go.
Yesterday, I got a letter from Brennan. He's in therapy now, the letter said. He knows he destroyed the best thing in his life.
He wasn't asking for forgiveness, just wanted me to know he understood what he'd lost.
I read it once. Then I tore it into pieces and threw it in the trash.
They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but the truth, the best revenge isn't destruction, it's healing. It's walking away from people who don't deserve your light and building a life they'll never touch again. Brennan thought he could have it all, the perfect wife, the secret affair, the stolen success. But karma doesn't forget, and neither do I. If this story hits you where it hurts, smash that like button and subscribe. Because survival isn't just about getting through the storm. It's about learning to dance in the rain. You deserved better. And now you know it. See you in the next one.